So welcome along. Now today's training session is going to cover our standard user training basics, where we'll go through the functionality of the main SuiteFiles apps. Those are the web app, the Outlook add-in, as well as SuiteFiles Drive. Now please, before we begin, note that if you do have any questions, please add them to the Q&A section, which you can see in the Zoom webinar panel. I'll keep an eye on any questions that come in throughout the session and answer them as we go. Also note that I am recording and will be uploading the session to our YouTube channel, which is called SuiteFiles. We do have some other ways that can help with your training and getting up to speed with SuiteFiles. So the first is via our Help Center. That's accessible at help.suitefiles.com. So if you just pop that into the browser there, you'll come across our Help Center. The best way to get started is through our Getting Started guide, the Welcome to SuiteFiles article, and that will take you through a lot of what you need in order to get set up. We have a whole range of helpful information along the side there as well. If you're wanting to get started with, say, our Outlook add-in or SuiteFiles Drive, I'll go through the installation steps with you today, but there's a wealth of information on our Help Center just to make sure that you understand how they all work and how to get the most out of those. If you get stuck along the way, then you can reach out to our support team as well. So they're available via email at support@suitefiles.com. Okay, so we'll get started, and the very first thing we will do is we'll go log into our SuiteFiles site URL. So you'll need that URL handy. Hopefully you have that in an email somewhere. If not, it should look a little something like this. So our site is demosuite.sharepoint.com, and once you enter in your site URL into your browser, and also just note that we recommend that you use the Chrome browser, you will then be prompted to log in to SuiteFiles using your Office 365 credentials. So first, just enter in your Office 365 email address, click Next or Enter, and then enter in your Office 365 password before clicking Sign In. If you have two-factor auth on your Office 365 account, you'll be prompted to enter in your text verification code, or maybe you're using the Authenticator app. Once you've entered in that code, then you'll be able to access SuiteFiles here. So once you're logged into SuiteFiles, as you can see, I am here, you will see on the left-hand side your folder structure. And then as you click through any of your folders, so here I am with my subfolders, once you land in a folder that has files, those files will be listed here, and any subfolders listed on the left-hand side. In the top left of your screen is the SuiteFiles logo. That functions as a home button too, so a really nice, easy way to get back home. In the top middle of the screen, you have your search. So here we can use the search for looking for files or folders. There's a couple of different options here, which I'll go through in more detail a little later. And then underneath here, we have our navigation tabs. So files, which is what it will default to when you first log in, that's going to give you access to your very top level folder structure in SuiteFiles, as you can see on the left-hand side here. Favorites will display any files and folders that you have favorited. So you might have some documents that you access regularly, and to add them to your favorites as you're navigating through SuiteFiles, if you come across a folder that you want to star or favorite, you'll find the little icon just to the right of the folder name there. Press that once and that will be added to your favorites list. If you have a file that you want to favorite, if you just look at the right of the file name, right at the end there's a star there too, that clicking that once will add it to your favorites. So if we go back into our favorites, you'll see now that under our files, we have that most recently favorited file sitting there in the list. To get your favorited folders, you just need to click on the folders option here, and you can see 123 Accounting Limited has been added to my favorites list here. Recents will display a list of files and folders that have been modified or created recently. And on the left-hand side here, you can see a few filtering options. So by default, it's going to default to My Recents. You can switch that across to All Recents, which will show you things across the entire site. You've got Email Recents as well as Client Folders, which will show you recently created client folders. And if you're interested to see what your colleagues have been accessing, so things that have been worked on recently by Adam, for example, you can see those in the list here. Now, tasks is where you can manage files and folders that you have shared with other users or that other users have shared with you. Now, we go through tasks in more detail in our training session tomorrow. There's too much to talk about today regarding tasks and also sharing, so we cover that off in our session tomorrow. Oh, I skipped over images. So if we just switch back to images here, images is simply a search specifically for image file types. So you can either select from one of these common search terms, or under the grey bar, just enter in your search term, press enter, and the relevant images will be displayed in this space here. The scan section will show you files that you've uploaded, that you've done by entering an email address into your scanner, and then you'll be able to have those scanned files land into your scans tab in SuiteFiles. So that's something that you will learn a little bit more about in our advanced training session tomorrow. I'll take you through how to set that up in your scanner and set those email addresses up to have documents scanned directly into this area here. And finally, under the More dropdown, what you see here will depend on what your user role is and also which plan type you have. So if you're an administrator, you'll be able to see Manage Users and Groups as well as Manage Templates. If you are on our Super Suite plan, which includes both document signing and Connect, then you'll be able to see those two options as well. Now, everyone will be able to see the recycle bin. So as many of you are likely going to be standard users, I'll just take you through that functionality here. Now, the recycle bin does require you to have delete permissions. So that is something that your admin will need to enable for you. So by default, standard users don't have the ability to delete, but if your admin switches that on for you, if you were to say delete a folder or a file, that would land in the recycle bin, and you'll have about 90 days to come in here and restore that file or folder, or if you've deleted that in error. So in order to delete a file or a folder, say if you were deleting this entire folder, you'd click on the three dots alongside it and you'll see the delete option here. If you're deleting a file, you'll find the delete option by clicking on the three dots alongside the file name, clicking delete. Another way you can delete files is by clicking this little checkbox here, and if you do have delete permissions, you'll be able to delete in bulk by clicking on that option. Now, if you have done that and you have done that in error and you want that back, come into the recycle bin. You will be able to see all of the folders and files that you yourself have deleted. If you're an admin, you'll be able to see everyone's deletions, but let's say that I want to restore something on behalf of somebody else. I can click the restore button, and that is going to restore the folder or file back into the original location. So for example, if I was to restore this file, if I wanted to restore this file that had been deleted on the 11th of Feb, click restore, and that would take it back into this subfolder structure in SuiteFiles. A note for our admins out there, if you are looking to find a file that's been deleted by a particular user, just note that this column here is organized according to the person that deleted it. So we've got this listed in should be in alphabetical order, just in case you can't find what it is that you're looking for. Okay, so that's it for the tabs along the top here. If anyone does have any questions about that, then please do let me know via the Q&A section. Now, next we'll take a look at how we can set up our user preferences. So these, we recommend that you set these up early on, as it will set up a lot of the behavior that you'll be using day in, day out in SuiteFiles. So to set up your user preferences, go to the top right corner of the screen, click on your username, then select User Profile Settings, and then File Preferences. So the first option here is whether or not we want to show archived content. So if you have this set to yes, then you'll be able to see files or folders that anyone has archived in your site. So they'll still be visible to you. Whereas if you have this set to no, like I do, you won't be able to see any archived files or folders. So what I'll do is I'll switch this across to yes, and then to save my changes, I can click on the X in the top right corner. That will save my changes. And then what happens if we just jump back to the home level here, I have a whole lot more folders in my view than I did previously. And even if we jump into one of our folders, you can see this folder has some files that have been archived. Now that I've got my archive settings set to yes, it means that I can see those archived files back in my view. The other preference that you can set is how you prefer to view the date last modified. So by default, it's just going to show you the date. If you set the second option to yes, then as you close the window to save your changes, you'll see that the time also comes into view as well. So it's a nice easy one there. The showing email threads in a conversation view, that's a beta product at the moment. You're welcome to play around with that if you wish. All this means is that if you have an in message file, so that's a .msg file type, and you are in a particular folder, typically it's in your email folder per client, and if you switch this on to yes, then it's just going to collate all of those email threads into one view. So feel free to have a play around with it. It's not something that I train on just because it's not feature complete as yet. So as soon as that is something that we are putting out into the world, then we will let everyone know via our product updates in our newsletter. Now, the final one is a really important one to understand. So this is how you're going to be opening up your Office files. So those are your Word documents, your Excel spreadsheets, even PowerPoint presentations. Now, by default, they're going to open up in the browser view. And so what that means is if we jump into a file. So let's just take this Word document as an example. So if I click on the file, that's going to open it up for me. And initially, as you're starting out, your files are going to open up in this preview mode. Okay, so this one this looks a little bit empty. So let me find a different one. Perfect. So this file here has opened up in the preview. And so I have a couple of options as to how to edit that file. I can either edit in the browser, and this is going to open up this Word document in Word Online for me, and I can make some really nice and easy edits in that. Or if I prefer to have the full functionality of the desktop version of Word available to me, I could open that in Office, and then that will open up in my desktop version or my installed version of Microsoft Word. So if we go for the edit and browser option first, that's just opening up in Word Online. So you can see I've got a lot of the common tools that I might use. I'm just going to update the date on this letter. And once I'm done with my changes, I can click Save and Close. If I was to refresh that letter, then those date changes will be reflected in the preview. I'll just jump back out and in. So you can see that, that's been updated. Now, if I wanted to make some more, I don't know, more complicated changes, I could open an Office. I have to click that Open Word button, so make sure that you do that. That's a little prompt from your Chrome browser, just prompting you to open that file up. And you can see that once it does that, then it's going to open up in your desktop version of the app. So that's a little bit small. Let's just readjust that slightly. So a couple of things to notice here. Now we've opened up the file from SuiteFiles from the web app. And so what you'll see is you'll see this little messaging up the top middle of your screen showing that that file has been modified, last modified just now. So it is opening up the file that I just edited in the online version of Word via SuiteFiles only moments ago. You can see that the most recent date change is reflected in that letter, and you can also see that the autosave is switched on. So that means that I don't have to continuously select save or click the save button. Because I open this up from the web app, from the SuiteFiles web app, it's going to automatically save any changes that I make. Now there's a little gap here that I need to fill in. So I can make any changes that I need to. And once I'm happy with the changes, you can see at the top, now that I'm making changes, it's automatically saving my changes. These are now saved. I can click the X in the top right corner of the Word document, and those changes are going to be reflected the next time I or another of my colleagues opens up that same file from SuiteFiles, so that you can see those most recent changes have taken effect. Now, if you would prefer to have your Office file type, so your documents, Word documents and Excel spreadsheets, for example, open directly in their respective desktop apps, rather than having to make that decision at this point, so rather than having to click the Open in Office button, the file preference of opening up Office files in the browser, if that's switched to no and your changes saved, then what will happen the next time you open a document, if you click on the link to open the file as you normally would, you're going to just automatically be prompted to open that in Word, and the file will open up in the desktop version of the app. So that's an option there. It depends really on your style of working. So for me, I like to make really quick edits in the browser version. So I just always have my setting set to yes. That will give me the choice to either open in the browser version and edit online quickly, or whether or not I want to open it up in the desktop app. It does depend definitely on the types of files that you're working on. So the version of Excel Online might not have the full functionality that you're used to in Microsoft Excel's desktop app. So you might prefer to have that set to no, so that every time you click on a file, it's going to open up automatically for you. So let me know if you've got any questions on those file preferences. I'm just switching mine back to my preferences and closing that down and saving those changes. But yeah, if anyone does have any questions on that, then please feel free to add them to the Q&A section. Now I'm just going to get myself sorted and get reorganized on the screen here, and I'll take you through how you can search for and find things easily in SuiteFiles. Okay, so in terms of finding things in SuiteFiles, the first way that you've seen me do already is by simply looking through your folder structure in SuiteFiles. So it's about locating the folder, then clicking through the folder structure, subfolder structure, until you find what it is that you're wanting to view or edit. If you're wanting to step back a couple of levels, just note that you can use these the breadcrumb along the top of the screen here. So click on, say, 99 Corporation, will bring you into the 99 Corporation client folder. If you're at the clients level and you've got a whole lot of client folders, like you can see we do here, you can use the filter at the very top of the list to restrict your results shown to you according to the start of their name. So this filter works at the by searching or filtering across the very top of or the very front of a folder name. So for example, if I wanted to just look at all of my clients starting with the letter S, I could type in S here, click enter on my keyboard, and then that will just bring up all of the client folder names starting with S. If I wanted to get a little bit more specific and type in a specific word, you can see here when I filter by the word suite, only those client names that start with suite will be presented in my list. Now, if I'm the type of person that prefers to, if I'm thinking of sweet coffee, I'm going to want to search by the word coffee rather than sweet, then we recommend that you use the filter or the search in the top middle of the screen. And if I type in coffee here, then this type of search is going to result in any client folder with the word coffee in it is going to be displayed in this list. I can click that result and that's going to open up the folder for me. This quick search also shows you some top hits in terms of files and other folders, but it's not going to show you absolutely everything in your site relating to that search term. So if you wanted to do an advanced search for coffee, you can click the advanced search for button below here, or simply press enter after having typed in the term. If you press enter, then that's going to bring up an advanced search for that search term. So in this case, you can see I've got 78 results for the term coffee. And what I can do is use the filters on the left-hand side in order to bring that list down a little bit. If I was to do a more generic search term, such as letter, you can see I've got over 1,000 results. So the trick is to use the filters on the left-hand side to reduce those results down further. So starting at the top here, we have all files versus emails. So you can also search across any emails that have been filed across from, say, the Outlook add-in into SuiteFiles. If you wanted to look at the content state, so we have a few different content states here. We can either have something that's current in a starred folder or a favorited folder. We can have something that's archived. So this is a way that you can, if you've even got your settings for archived content set to not show them when you're navigating SuiteFiles, you can still come in to the advanced search here and search over your archived content, which is quite handy. I'm just going to stick with current content, and my file type, I'm going to select Word. And let's just go with 99 Corporation. So client folders is quite a big filter option here. Because of the way that SuiteFiles is structured, if you have all of your clients nested directly under that clients folder in SuiteFiles, then they're going to be visible to you from this list. So I'm just going to look for any of the content within 99 Corporation. We can look at financial years as well. And finally, who it was last modified and when they last modified it. So hopefully by the time you've used a few filters, you'll be able to come up with the right results. You can also use the column filters here, so you can look by date last modified to get the most recent letter that was created for 99 Corporation. And you can click on the document to take you through to its preview, or you can click the three dots alongside it. Maybe you want to show where it is in the folder. But you've also got the ability to download, share, or just go straight into edit mode and view the details of that file as well. So a few options there, but hopefully that helps show you how you can go about looking for your files and folders in SuiteFiles. There is also an advanced search or a search in current folder. So if I was wanting to search across the entire 99 Corporation file and subfolder structure, I could click on the search in current folder for option here, and then that would do a similar thing to the advanced search, but this time only restricting it at this level to any letter relating to 99 Corporation. Okay, so that's it for the searching side of things. If anyone does have any questions, please do add them to the Q&A section. Otherwise, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about creating new folders and new files in SuiteFiles. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the scenario of creating a new folder for a client. So what we would do is we would navigate through, if we're starting from the home level, we'll jump into our clients folder. So it's best, of course, to create the folder from within or with where you want it to actually live in SuiteFiles. So navigate to the clients folder, then you can either click the blue create button here or click the three dots here. So you'd be clicking either create subfolder from this option or the new folder option from here. Either way, that's going to create this new folder for you. You need to give it a name first of all. So we're going with Eclipse Accounting Limited. And from this drop down here, you can see that we have a bunch of folder templates. So what a folder template is in SuiteFiles is it's going to allow you to set up that subfolder structure that you're going to be using for new clients, new individuals, new trusts, new financial year sets. So however you work and whatever your folder structure is, then you can set that up as a folder template in SuiteFiles. I'm going to pick from an existing folder template. So anytime I bring on a new client, I have this, and it's a company, I want to use this set of folders. So I'll click create and we can see what those subfolders look like. So you can see here it's currently a completely empty folder, but it has in terms of its files, but we do have some subfolders that have been added in for us. So most people, when they come across to SuiteFiles, they'll have a dedicated email folder or a correspondence folder that just sits at this top level. Now that you've got a really good way of searching across content, if you're looking for a particular email, you will be able to sort through the date that it was filed. So rather than going too deep in terms of the folder structure, then you'll find that most people are using an email folder. And then you've got your financial year folders, which also have subfolders within those. So the sky's the limit in terms of creating that folder template. The best way to manage your folder templates is to actually create them from scratch from within SuiteFiles. So you can see here that we've created a folder templates folder. If you see here, we have a set of company folders. No, we don't. Yes, we do. So this is quite an involved one here, but that's pretty standard in terms of how we see most folders being created. Now, if I just take a look at, let's just use this one here. Now, the way that you create the folder template structure is simply by clicking the three dots, creating a subfolder, giving your template a name. And then once you've done that, as you can see here, you would go through the process. This is a good one because it hasn't really been filled out very much. You would then click the three dots, create another subfolder, In this case, I'm going to call it director and shareholder. Click create, then jump back a step. My director and shareholder folder has been created. So now it's a case of maybe creating a new subfolder called permanent and clicking create. So go through that process, and once you're happy with the subfolder structure and maybe folders within folders as well, once that has been created, click on the three dots alongside that top level folder name and select template folder. And it's at this point that you'll give your template a name. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to date this one because I create these all the time. And you can give a description if you want to, otherwise just click create and close. And that's just taking a copy of all of the subfolder structures that you want as part of that folder template. And the next time you go to create a new client, you can, from the choose a folder template drop-down, you'll see that that folder structure set is available from that drop-down. So clicking create would allow you to see all of those folders and subfolders that you used as part of that folder template. From here, it just becomes like any other folder. So if I was to want to create a 2021 subfolder and maybe use my new financial year folder template to bring all those subfolders through, then I can do so, and it has no impact on the original template that I used. So in terms of, we've just had a question come through about where do we actually set up the folder templates. So they can be set up anywhere on your site. So you can just see that we have created a folder template folder at our home level. And if you're wanting to do the same, you could click on the create button here and click new folder, and that would just allow you to just start to set up that folder structure. I have seen some people create a folder templates folder at their business level, or maybe within an administration and then a business level. So it just depends on how you want to structure your folders, but we just keep them at the top level because we access them all the time to demonstrate them. So just in terms of folder templates, they really are just a set of folders at the end of the day that you've created manually, and it's the process of actually clicking the three dots and selecting template folder that will turn that structure into your desired folder template, ready for you to use the next time you create one of your say new client folders. So hopefully that's clarified the process. If you do need more help with that, jump onto our help center, which is help.suitefiles.com, and under file and folder templates, we've got a creating folder templates tutorial. So you can go through that, or we've also got a step-by-step on how to create those. In terms of managing folder templates and any templates, they're stored in the Manage Templates section under the More dropdown, and that's an admin setting generally, but admins can switch that on for standard users. So once you have access to that, if it makes sense for you to have access to that as part of your role, you would be able to come into the template manager and see all of the templates that we have available, or that you've created rather. So if you're wanting access to that, then check with your SuiteFiles administrator as part of your team, and we'll also go through the whole template management process in our training session tomorrow on advanced templates. I'm just going to jump in here to the folder template section. You can see here I've got the option to select from document, email, or folder templates. I'm actually just going to tidy this up a little bit because I've created so many that they need to just be tidied. So I'm just going to go through and delete a few of those. Perfect. Okie dokes. Okay, so that's it on folder template creation and creating new client folders or any folder in SuiteFiles. Now, what we'll take a look at is the folder options. So if we take a look, Eclipse Accounting. So this is the new folder that I created moments ago. Now, in terms of the options that we have available to us when we're managing our folders, if you click on the three dots here, you'll see all that you can do with a folder. So you've seen me already create a subfolder. So that's nice and easy there. You can also do that using the blue create button. We can also download a folder as a zip. Now, that's an admin enabled permission, so you might not see this or you might not be able to do this by default, but that one will allow you to download the entire client folder and its contents to your local computer as a zip file. Tomorrow in our advanced training session, we talk a little bit more about sharing folders and files with your colleagues. So I'll talk more about that then. And if you are a Connect user, so if you're on our Super Suite plan and you're planning on sharing entire folders externally, then I recommend that you look up our Connect webinar. So if you go into our Help Center under videos, you'll see a lot of content around Connect and doc signing. So I recommend watching the one from the 7th of November. That will just take you through a training session very similar to this one, where the key focus is on Connect as well as document signing. So that one there for those of you interested in learning more about Connect. If you needed to rename a folder, click on the rename option and just confirm that, and that will update that at the SuiteFiles end. Note for those of you that are going to be using our Xero Practice Manager integration on Wednesday's training session, I'll take you through the process of renaming your clients in XPM and how that renaming will filter through into SuiteFiles. So you don't always just have to rename them at the SuiteFiles end. If you're using XPM, then you can rename entire folders at the XPM end, and that will trickle through into SuiteFiles for you. You can move folders around your site. So for example, if you don't have delete permissions, this is quite a handy function to be aware of. So from time to time, you might create a folder inadvertently and want it gone. If you don't have the delete function, you can actually take that folder, click the move option, and then just click through and click back through your site. Most of you will have a trash folder set up for your SuiteFiles site. So that's an alternative way of managing all of the stuff that you no longer need. And then an admin can come in and delete the contents of that trash folder, or they could delete the entire folder and then set up a new trash folder. So that's an alternative way of managing things. So I could move that entire Eclipse Accounting Co folder, which I've just done, and you can see now that that's been relocated into the trash. So it's no longer going to be at that client's level. So I've only got Eclipse Consulting, not Eclipse Accounting. Okay, so those folder options as well, you can template the folder, which I just showed you. Tomorrow, I'll show you how you can create an email address to set that up with your scanning. If you're wanting to archive a folder rather than delete it, perhaps, you've got the ability to archive that. That just turns into an unarchive option if the folder has been archived. And there's, of course, the delete permission. And finally, if you're an admin, you can manage who has access to a particular folder. So we'll go through all of that in our admin training, which is later on today. Okay, so the other thing that we need to cover off is file creation. So if you are creating a file, and I'm just going to go back into an active folder. So let's say that we wanted to create a new file in SuiteFiles. So there's ways that you can do this outside of SuiteFiles, of course. So if you've got a document that you're wanting to add to SuiteFiles, maybe it's a PDF that you found somewhere else, you can drag and drop those into this main area here, and that will upload it. to SuiteFiles. But if you're wanting to create a document from scratch, then you can see here we've got the blue Create button. So if you click on that, you can see here that we've got the option to create a Word document, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, or plain text file. So that can be done from within SuiteFiles. So the way that you do that is just click on the option that you want to create, enter in a file name. If you're interested in using templates, that's something that we'll cover off in tomorrow's training session, so come back for that one. And then click Create Word Document. So you can see here that that's a document that's ready for me to now edit. So from here, I would just go about editing in the browser. So once you click that, then it becomes fully editable. And you can change the color if you want to. And once you're done with the edits, just click Save and Close, and that will go back, that will save back into SuiteFiles. So in terms of your file options, so once you have created your files in SuiteFiles, if you click on the three dots alongside a file, you'll find your file options. So the first three here that we've got, the download, share, and edit, those are also represented with these icons. So you've got the download, share, or edit. Now, the download option is something to keep or just to be aware of. Now, the download option is going to download a copy of that file to your local computer. So that will essentially break the link between the file and SuiteFiles. So if you click on this downloaded file and open it, just be aware of all of this messaging that you see on the document. So for example, I've got to first enable editing. That's my first sign. You can see here that the autosave is off. And as I start to make changes to this file, they're not saving back to SuiteFiles. So that's a real dead giveaway that that's not going to be saved back up to SuiteFiles. It's actually saved to my local computer. So just be aware of that. If you're wanting to open up a document, the best way is to just click on the file, and that will take you through that preview or automatically open it up in Office for you, depending on your preference. But downloading will download and break that connection. So it's useful for some cases, but oftentimes if you're wanting to edit, you'll just click on that link there. This little pencil icon as well, that's going to take you straight into editing mode. If you prefer to use the browser editing option, that will just bypass the need to click the edit and browser icon as well. You can just go straight into editing mode. The share function, so you can share a file with a colleague in SuiteFiles, and that will set up a chain of events such as setting a task for your colleague. It'll send a notification email, and you'll also get an in-app notification. So that whole process is covered off in our training session tomorrow for advanced training. So come back then. Otherwise, we've got the functions that you would expect to see for a file, so you can rename that. So maybe you want to add the date to it, for example. Click Save. You've also got the option to archive a file, move, or copy it. So with the move and copy function, they're available from the same screen. So if you click move, you can see that you've got the ability to both move and copy. So that's a case of you can move or copy a file into a different location, is essentially what that does. So just click either option, and then that would, in this case, move it back up a level into the 1, 2, 3 accounting folder rather than being in the engagement folder. And saving a file as a template, this is something that's covered in our templates or advanced training session, which does cover templates tomorrow. If you're using the connect functionality, then you can send off you can send a file off to an external party to review or approve, or just view the file. They can also edit it as well if it's a Word document, for example. So you can send those to Connect, and they'll get a notification that that's waiting for them in Connect. So again, if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about that type of functionality, then the Connect and Doc signing webinar from the 7th of November is definitely one I'd recommend that you look at. If you've got delete permissions, of course, then you can do so from there. But another way that you can delete a file or multiple files is by selecting more than one along the left side here. So if you hover over the document icon, and if you select one or more files, you'll find these bulk options available to you for your files along the top of your screen. So I can download in bulk, move and copy, I can archive or unarchive them at the same time, or I can delete them all at once as well. So one note on the download function, when you first start out, sometimes you will get a little message at the top of your screen. So you can see that that came up, pop-ups were blocked. So what that's resulted in is only one of those 2 files being downloaded to my local computer. So all I need to do is enable pop-ups for the site, and then the next time I press download, then both of the files will be downloaded for me. So that's just one of the things to keep in mind with that download feature. Otherwise, everything will work out of the box in terms of moving, copying, archiving, unarchiving, deleting in bulk. So that's it as far as the web app is concerned. All of those basic features will hopefully get you up and running in SuiteFiles web. The other functions that I wanted to take you through was just really how to download and install the Outlook add-in as well as SuiteFiles Drive, so that at least for now you have the bulk of what you need to get started with SuiteFiles. So if you've already got the Outlook add-in and the SuiteFiles Drive installed and you're pretty happy with how that's all working, then you can feel free to drop off the training session now. But for those of you who need a little bit of help getting those apps all underway, then please do stay on and I will take you through how to do that. Okay, so these 2 apps, so we'll start off with the Outlook add-in. So this is going to allow you to file your emails into SuiteFiles. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our username in the top right corner, select download apps, and then we have the SuiteFiles for Outlook that we're going to download, and then SuiteFiles for Drive that we want to download as well. So once you've downloaded both of those files and you've run them, so as you normally would, so what I tend to do is just show in folder. If we just come over here. Okay, so here we've got the latest SuiteMail version, and double click disk 1 and then double click the SuiteMail installer and just follow the steps for that. And then same with SuiteFiles Drive, you'll want to run that executable file, and then that will install the SuiteFiles Drive on your individual PC. So that's the downloading steps. Now in terms of using the Outlook add-in, so let me just jump into Outlook. So you'll likely have to close and reopen your Outlook. And then what you'll see is you'll see your login screen along the right hand side. So SuiteFiles, the Outlook or the Outlook add-in is just going to be a little side panel that just sits out to the right of your inbox. And the first step you'll need to do is log in to your account. And so if you don't have 2-factor authentication for your Office 365 account, so if you don't, then click the basic login. If you do have 2-factor auth for your Office 365 account, so for those of you who are entering a code, getting a text message, or needing to verify your identity before logging into your Office 365 account, then please use the advanced login option. I'm just going to use the basic login option myself, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste my site URL. So if we jump into SuiteFiles, And the easiest way to get your site URL is to jump back into the web app and just copy your site URL from the screen there. Just going to paste it into a notepad. Alrighty, and back into here, we've entered in our site URL without any typos. And then if we enter in our Office 365 email address, and Office 365 password, which I just need my password manager for, so just bear with me. Okay, so provided you have all of that information correct and you don't have any extra weird spaces at the end of anything, no extra forward slashes, please. That will prevent you from being able to log in. But click log in and then that will authenticate everything. Make sure that you've got permission to log in through your account. So the add-in is available to you if you're on our semi-suite or our super suite plans. And then once you've done that, then you've logged in successfully. It will show you your folder structure in SuiteFiles. Okay, so the idea with the Outlook add-in is that as you have emails coming in, you can reply to them, of course. Now I'm just going to, let's just find email. Okay, we'll just go with this one here. This little notification email, let's just say I want to save that into SuiteFiles. Now, what I would typically do is just search for the client. So if we just 99 Corporation. So I can find my clients really quickly by just using the search at the top of the screen. As I mentioned earlier, most people will have an email or a correspondence folder, so I'm just going to pop that into there. And then once you're happy with the location, so you can see you're in the email folder, just drag and drop the email into the folder. So at the bottom of the screen of the Outlook add-in, you'll see a little upload status. So you can just close that once that's been done. And what you'll see for any email that's been dragged and dropped into the add-in is that the little blue category will be automatically added to the email in Outlook. So it just gives you an indication of what's been filed away and what maybe hasn't been. Now, the other thing that you can do is if we have a look at this email here where I was testing our new Autosave checkbox. So what we've recently released in this version of the add-in that you will all be downloading from our download center, now we have introduced a new feature which means that when you are replying to an email or composing a new email, if the subject line and the recipient stay the same, so if it's part of the same conversation, you can get your emails to automatically save into SuiteFiles, into that same location that you initially selected. So you do a one-off selection of where you want that email to be filed, and then any subsequent replies will be automatically filed into SuiteFiles for you. So what that means is if I hit reply on this one, let's just I'm just going to come up with a brand new subject line. So a completely unique subject line. If I click send on this, the very first time that I'm sending an email that contains these recipients in the subject line, SuiteFiles is going to ask if I want to file this email into SuiteFiles. So provided that's exactly what you want to do, if it's a client email, then would recommend that you're saving those away. Then you keep that checked. If you don't want to save this particular email into SuiteFiles, then just click no. Don't save this email and then click send. But otherwise, every client communication, you're going to need to follow these steps. So under the file name, you can edit the file name if you want to. That will be what the file gets saved as into SuiteFiles. And then next you need to choose the location. So when you first start using it, the location will be a little bit empty, but as you start to save emails, and particularly if you are hooked up with the Workflow Max or Zero Practice Manager integration, and you've got your contact details stored in those systems, then the suggestions are going to get a lot smarter. But if we just click edit here, that's going to present us with our folder structure. Typically it's going to be a client, so you can either click through your client structure to find where you want to save that to. In this case it's a correspondence folder. Click choose location. It will show you where you're going to be saving that email to, and you can also keep this checkbox checked, and that's going to enable all of your email conversations for this subject line and these recipients to be automatically saved into the 5X Partners correspondence folder. If you don't want to use the autosave function, then if you uncheck that box and send in file, it's going to file that away, but the replies are going to just come into your inbox without being automatically filed. So you'll have to continue to do that yourself. This setting will be remembered. So for those of you that are downloading the absolute latest version, that will be version 0.70, and I'll show you how you can see the version number that you have in a moment. But that new version 0.70 is going to remember your last use setting for that checkbox. So I'm going to send and file that email, and that's going to get automatically filed into 5X Partners correspondence folder for me, and then the next time I reply, or my recipient replies to that, the reply is going to automatically be filed for me as well. Just on the version number here, if you click on the settings icon and click log out and click yes, log me out, you'll see the version number here. So 0.70. If you're downloading it from the download center, you'll absolutely get the latest. If you have downloaded the Outlook add-in a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, it might be showing 0.68. So if that's the case, you should see a little new update available button, and that just sits out to the right of your add-in when you're logged into it, and that will update you to the latest version. So I'm not going to log in again because that's just going to take too much of your time. So I hope that sort of clarifies the functionality there. I'll also show you tomorrow how you can create and save email templates and use them. So we can cover that off tomorrow, but if anyone does have any questions around the Outlook add-in, then please do let me know via the Q&A section. Now finally, on to the Drive app. So if I just show you that. Now, just in terms of SuiteFiles Drive, now what it does is it maps a drive in your file explorer. So this little guy here, bottom of your screen, that will allow you to navigate your files in SuiteFiles just as you would using File Explorer. But there are a couple of things to be aware of. So one of those is that it doesn't sync or store items locally or offline. So it's retrieving everything from the cloud directly from your SuiteFiles site. So there might be some time differences of how long it takes to load or save things compared to if you were saving something to, say, your desktop. It's just because every time it's having to do so, it's uploading or retrieving things from the cloud. The other thing to note is that it's not designed to be a replacement or a full alternative to the SuiteFiles web app. It is simply just an add-in, and we think you'll find it a lot better if you start to use the web app for editing your Word documents and Excel spreadsheets and the like. Of course, there are some things that you cannot do in SuiteFiles web app, and that's why the SuiteFiles Drive exists. So if you are using things like PDFs and you are editing PDFs particularly, then you would need to do that by accessing the PDF file from SuiteFiles Drive, opening that up in your PDF editor, and then saving those changes back down to SuiteFiles Drive. The other thing that it's really handy for is if you're using other apps and you need to attach documents that you've stored in SuiteFiles into that app, so you can navigate your S Drive to locate and update or upload that file to another app. So that's quite handy to have in the background as well. So with all that being said, once you've downloaded the SuiteFiles drive, then you will be prompted to log into it. So I'll just show you what that will look like. So you can see here that it's prompting, well, it will prompt you to enter in your SharePoint site. So you just need to paste in your SuiteFiles site URL, copy and paste it from your web app again if you need to. If you want to choose your own drive letter, then we have the options here. Sometimes people are already using an SDrive in their business for the server, and so they might want to choose a different drive letter. We give you 4 others to choose from. And sometimes you may need to change your port settings. Usually that's something that our support team will instruct you on if you're having trouble with the SDrive. So just keep that in mind. You've got those advanced settings to change both the port and the drive letter. Otherwise, what you're wanting to do is just click log in, and that will automatically log you in to the SuiteFiles. Let me just do that again. No, it's doing the wrong one. Let me just use another account. So this is just prompting you to log in. Okay, so if we do that, then what will happen is that it will generate an access token for you, and then it will log you in to the SuiteFiles Drive app. And if you can see on the bottom of my screen, I haven't actually clicked anything, but the File Explorer is now flashing, and that just means that my SuiteFiles Drive has now been loaded to my computer. So it's just going to sit under this PC as SuiteFiles Drive, and you can see that it loads all of the client's folders. So you can just click through as you normally would for a File Explorer navigation. So as I said, it's not designed to be a complete replacement to the web app. You can't do things like collaborate on documents together. So in the web app, I should have mentioned this already, but if you are opening up a file from the web app and your colleague opens the same file, say a Word document, and if you're opening it up in the desktop version of the apps, for example, you can see that I've got my little avatar at the top of the screen, and if someone else in my team is in it, then I will see their name and their little avatar or profile picture at the top of the screen, and I'll be able to also see where their cursor is on my screen as well. So that's one of the things that you don't get through using the SuiteFiles Drive. And the other thing that you won't get is the autosave functionality. So a couple of things and a couple of reasons why we recommend using the web app where you can for your main document needs. So that's it for the Drive app. Just let me know if you do have any questions on that or anything else that I've shown you around today. That does bring us to the end of today's training session, so feel free to drop off now. Thanks so much everyone for attending, and as I said, we'll pop the recording up on our YouTube channel, which is SuiteFiles, so you can check back there a little later for that recording if you need to share that with anybody. Thanks so much everyone for attending. If you get stuck along the way and you can't find what you need on the Help Centre, then please don't hesitate to reach out to our support team. That email address there is support@suitefiles.com. And if you want to come along to some training later on in the week, then just jump onto our website, which is suitefiles.com. And right down the bottom there, we have under the Get Started section, we've got Attend a Webinar. So today you've attended the Basics training. We've also got Admin, Advanced, and Zero Integration training. So Admin training is in approximately 23 minutes. We've got Advanced training tomorrow. That's going to be at 3:30 New Zealand time tomorrow. And SuiteFiles Zero Integration training is 3:30 New Zealand time on Wednesday. So hope to see you all along there and talk again soon. Thanks so much, everyone.